Hi. Well, here I am back and actually really excited to share this with you. So, whatever that wall was that I met last week, which I saw as mind, and mind is problematic depending on what mind you come from. So, this week was just such a breakthrough. And I'm calling this week, It's Okay to Be Okay. To be okay in the face of so much pain or disappointment or things reversing on you or things that haven't fallen into place, and to be okay. It's overcoming the mind. And so much of that was shown this week in a beautiful way, and it doesn't mean spiritual bypassing. There are so many words: spiritual bypassing, narcissism. I mean, all those words can, the mind and the labels. So the cards that came up this week were evidence, and the card that showed up after it was openness. And Billy Goat Plum was the essence that was pulled, which I'll read later on. What showed up more than anything was to look, to see yourself, to really see yourself. So the first session of the week were a couple who've got enormous projects happening, and to find another being who's on the same page, who can roll these programs out, it's like finding a gem with a fire and a passion inside of it. And they found someone that had started it, who in the background had a lot going on, and therefore came to them to say, I can't do this anymore. And what was beautiful was that they went to their okayness and went to a compassion and saying, well, if that's where you're at, you know, we support you, we're here, should you ever want to come back? And such compassion that can only come from a deep okayness. And then I got a message for someone who wanted an online session, and nothing, so usually, or quite often, there's a sense of, oh, I get what this is, or I'll pull an essence and see, oh, and there's, of course, I'm more than happy to do a session, and there was nothing there. And so I messaged to say, tomorrow, what time suits you tomorrow? Because I certainly didn't feel that it wasn't needed or desired, whatever. Anyway, I woke up quite early and this image came, which was her being pregnant with a huge rat inside her womb. And I thought to myself, oh, number one, how am I going to share it? What, in fact, does it really even mean? And you have to stay with it, because when it arrives, it's speaking. It's a language, it is speaking. So sitting with it, there was really a deep sense of, this is not an entity. This is a speaking of a language to be unraveled. And even just energetically staying with it, once it really fell in what it was, it disappeared, which meant I could then dialogue the session. And it's relevant to what showed up in this week, because at the end of the day, we rat on ourselves. It's what we do up here, what we allow in, what we don't allow in, and this whole new way of working in her healing was showing up. And it was like, to some extent, it wasn't got, so it felt it was ratting on itself, and it was a big rat. Because beautiful, beautiful ways of healing are coming through her and ready to link to. So that was really lovely to see, but it's about her seeing it, and in seeing it, not ratting on herself and staying open to the evidence. Everybody's image belongs to them and what that means. There's no wrong message. Each individual has their unique interpretation of what that shows to be seen, that causes or allows that person to heal, because whoever you're seeing is doing the work. And then a session came, which I'm so proud of this woman, because number one, she had to hold things together in her okayness, to not be affected by her partner who'd lost his okayness, because she so seamlessly brings things into the world. And when that didn't happen fast enough, which was his process, not hers. Anyway, it was about finding a place, and the agents were saying, that doesn't show up in this area, it's impossible. And then they rang her back to say, oh, funnily enough, we found one. So they went and had a look but didn't like it. So rather than saying, wow, this is really rare, we don't like it, but we'll take it anyway, it was, no, this is not the one. And then there was that whole, but they don't show up, and what if that was the only one? That was like, that's not how it goes. And she's so aware of her capacity to bring things into the world, so many beautiful stories she can come up with that are just so deeply instinctual and come into presence and being, they're delicious to listen to. Anyway, she said, of course I can do this. This is ridiculous to think. And I said to her, come on, look at how many houses are around. Surely there's one that'll do 6 months. It's ridiculous not to think that. So what actually happened was that a house came up, but they wanted it for a year. And she said, well, I want it for 6 months. And the agent came back and said, I don't believe this, but they're willing to do 6 months, etc., 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 and it all worked out. But she saw it and she stayed with it. It's being okay, knowing that that's how you see it and what you want, and staying with it, because that's how it comes when that connection feels that way. It's in the seeing. And the evidence is within her and being open to that, rather than the agent being the evidence. And then it actually went further into that sense of okayness, that the okayness lies deeply in yourself, not in another. Because there are relationships that happen that are so profound and so deep, and the connection is so sense of expanding self and connecting more to self than you ever have before. And when that also is expressed sexually as well and met, and when those relationships pass by, that okayness in self, that self had that experience, that self sent out that invitation. And we cannot decide whether another stays or doesn't stay, whether they can maintain that or whether they can't believe it. It could be like, this is too good to be true. Evidence says that this passes. Well, then that's the evidence that's going to show up for the partners. But necessarily not for one of them, who stays with that as an openness that was experienced, but then needing to go back to the okayness, that okayness and openness is in self, and it is okay. It's a deep okayness. And again, seeing that that was self, and it was self-sufficient, and how much life is loved and plans that were seen in self without the need to have that with a particular being. Very powerful seeing. And then a woman came who is incredibly other orientated, like to be there for others is her way of being in life. And the congestion and the bloating and the whole process she was experiencing was, what is going on? And it went back quite a long time to when her husband, who was considerably older than her, passed away over a decade ago. And it was funny because she came with her dog, and it actually went to the dog's capacity to see what was going on that actually showed our way into seeing what was going on. And it went back to the mind still not having completely digested that he had died. And what showed really was the mind can't digest those things. And to go to a real depth of okayness. People often don't understand how other people can do death quite in a different way. That ability to go to okayness and in love with those that passed, and the okayness. And I find to be able to say, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, for them. So that they don't suffer our suffering. It must be an awful suffering to see those left behind suffer. And there's nothing you can do about it on the other side. And I find that those who have a connection of love, they can feel that ongoing communication and union, and therefore digest it on a completely different level that the mind cannot do. So, but the mind of this woman also couldn't digest what was happening to her family. Lots of stuff is happening, and it's all undigestible because a lot of that stuff is not hers to digest, but she's still standing in it. And also this integration of always being there for them, always serving, always cooking. She always brings beautiful things when she comes for the session, which are yummy and delicious, so giving. And to go to the depth of it's okay, and the calmness in the body when that arrives, which also arrived for another being who, for more than a year, things haven't fallen into place, and the mind being such an extraordinary mind which can bring into being and words in a paragraph so clearly what is spoken from another level. It's an extraordinary skill. So the mind was brought to its knees eventually. And in that, the surrender and the okayness arrived. And when she arrived, it was like, wow, your energy feels really good. And it was really coming for a confirmation of what had taken place, and this depth of okayness, that things don't have to fall into place as her mind sees it, or wants it to be, or sees herself to be, and how that can be productive. It was just this surrender, and she felt grounded and within herself, in a calmness of okayness. Do you know, when the tsunami took place quite a while ago, I think it was the island of Tipi, and it was a massive tsunami, and villages were just decimated, it was all rubble. And there was a man, I remember watching on the news, going, "Where is God? Where is God? Where is God?" Meanwhile, people were coming from Australia, all the tradies were going over from every part of the world, building back villages that were beautiful for them to actually come to. Within us, it is revealed. So it's clear where it is. So another woman came, and as I've said before, when we come into this world with enormous capacity, it's a curse because we can't see it. We can't see what we came with, because it's like air to us. It's a capacity that's so normal. And then what happens is that others are seen as not normal, or what's the matter with them? But when we see our own capacity, and this woman's capacity, and I've known her for years, I can remember when she was working for this company, and you know, she was doing 2 times the work of any other person. And then it was like 3 times. But because of this capacity to just whatever comes to make it normal and add it in, and when the guy wanted her to up the ante and do it 4 times, it took that for her to get to her knees, but still didn't see herself. So seeing her great capacity and the frustration of others who just simply can't do things was driving her nuts. But then seeing her capacity and finally recognizing it. It's like a university professor who's in his own league and creativity of his art being annoyed that a preppy doesn't understand what he says. It's equivalent. So once you can see that, again, there's a sense of these beings who are in our lives, they're a contrast. There's sense so you can see yourself in what you can't see. And it takes a long time to see that and to come to the okayness. And, you know, there's no real judgment in that, because whoever that preppy is, they've got skills that maybe this is the contrast to that one. So it all works out. And that led to a woman who came, who was very distraught that her community was altering to the extent she felt lost within the neighbourhood. The neighbourhood had altered so much, and the local eating places and that were taken over, and although the food had the same name to it, it certainly wasn't created the same way, and it was quite lost, and was spending a lot of time on the internet. And this started to disturb her sleep, because she kind of went into a world that at the end got constructed as different and not okay. And when she really looked at it, she realised her world really wasn't disturbed at all. That she had her own culture within culture within culture within culture, and that there were many, many cultures, and hers was actually not disturbed. We have to be very careful where we look for evidence. If you're looking for evidence that is bad, you will find it. If you look for evidence that is good, you will find it. But there is a place that those that meditate and go to that place of okayness, do that often enough, that becomes a permanent place of okayness. And it is okay to be okay. And it is okay to not be okay, because that too is okay. So, evidence. No jumping to conclusions here. See what it is as is. Allow every new situation to be unblemished by you. Your experience of the past may colour how you see what is going on now. Let today's evidence speak to you in a clear light of new awareness. There are always indications to guide you towards the easiest path. See the evidence and clues that surround you. Openness. Openness creates an allowance of the self to be without judgment. Openness breaks down barriers, melts away fears, and allows creativity and communication to flow. Check your feelings. When you are being open, there will be no need to feel defensive. Let go all levels of fear, doubt, worry, and concern, and what you have left will be confidence, will be self-esteem and love, all of which functions very well with openness. And with that, a passion for life returns. Billy Goat Plum, the negative conditions are shame, inability to accept the physical self and physical loathing. And it is interesting that, the wonderful passions we can have in life, when things don't turn out the way the mind wants them to, or we start judging it, we tend to loathe the physical life and loathe ourselves and loathe our circumstances. It takes away that energetics within that has the passion for life and the okayness and what is next. The positive outcome is sexual pleasure and enjoyment, acceptance of self and one's physical body, open-mindedness, and that is a libido for life itself. So it looks like we've come through mind to a place of settling into an okayness. And that okayness, and to have a capacity for that okayness, is infectious to others. To be able to stay in that space, like the first couple I spoke to then enter into a compassion with love. Pretty beautiful. Lots of love.